Hello everyone, I'm Sargos, and I wasn't wondering what are the worst weapons in Foxhole. I was wondering what are the best weapons. But since there are around 50 weapons in total, and I already made the top 10 weapons video, it would only make sense to see what are the bottom 10, the worst rated weapons in Foxhole. Keep in mind, I made a survey form and I've asked the community to vote. This list doesn't even represent my views since I haven't voted. I just wanted to keep the data clean of any biases. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at the data. At number 10, we have the Ilios infantry dagger, the colonial secondary weapon, a melee weapon that was added not so long ago with a block, a light attack, and a charge up heavy attack. The dagger, while it can go to the secondary slot, it's not being used as much. I mean, the thing that you would see is that every other corpse on the battlefield would have the dagger, but there's just not many daggers in circulation in the general population. So maybe just some like dedicated LARPers or meme experts are trying to use it, but it's not that great of a weapon. It's very, very situational, and sadly I even haven't seen any like cool clips of melee combat where the dagger shines. But the community has voted, and on number 10, it's the infantry dagger. Number 9, we have the Warden Raiding Club. So it's the same thing, but for the Warden. The developers said they don't want to create an anvil inside Foxhole. The Anvil, for the people that don't know, is the game the developers are working on, like medieval melee combat. So basically it's just another skin for the melee weapon. It also has the block, the light and heavy attack. Like the dagger, I really didn't see it being used ever. Nobody was even talking about it. But the raiding club somehow got the worst score compared to the dagger. Both melee weapons dropped from 50 weapons down to the top 10 worst weapons, with the raiding club being on the 9th place. It's there, I don't know, just for the memes, I guess. On number 8, we have the B2 Varsi anti-tank grenade. It's a Warden anti-tank grenade. It requires the Osprey grenade launcher attachment. Then it requires a rifle, a Warden rifle. So to launch this grenade, you have more than one dependency. But okay, let's just put that to the side. Let's look at the grenade by itself as a anti-tank weapon. From my personal experience, I've used it a lot. The damage is fine, I would say, but the problem is the fuse time. 4 seconds is really too long, and everybody agrees that the fuse timer is ridiculously long. So in most situations, you would shoot behind the tank, so forcing him to push forward into the enemy line to avoid the grenade, right? Or just blocking its retreat. It's such a niche use. You can't use it to harass tanks. It's a good idea, but with the new Warden bazooka, nobody is going to use the Varsi grenade. And with that, I would say the number 8 is justified. On number 7, we have the KRR-2790 Omen, the colonial long rifle. It's basically a rifle, but it has a longer range. If you are in a shootout at long range versus a low caster, Argenti, or any other rifle, chances are you're going to win, but only if it's daytime. The counterpart, the Warden counterpart, the Clancy, is a much better rifle. Seeing the data, Omen being on 7th place, I would say that the community thinks that Omen is worse than Clancy, so there might be something to that. On the 6th place, we have the Warden 20mm Neville anti-tank rifle that is specialized for attacking armor vehicles. I mean, it's fine for attacking trucks as well, but since the recent infantry update, best thing that you can do versus vehicles is basically suppress them. And suppressing is fine, but like you're just a nuisance. Chances are you're gonna get killed by another infantryman. It's very situational, like even more than the Varsi grenade. The devs said on Reddit Q&A after the dev update that they're basically fine with the state of the anti-tank rifles. I don't know. I would just say that it needs more usage, that the devs need more proof that it's not working as intended. Yeah, also the Neville was the first anti-tank rifle when it was implemented. It was a neutral weapon, so both sides had it. And then it got pushed to the Wardens. And now it feels like they got the short end of the stick. And I would say the developers agreed with that by introducing yet another anti-tank weapon, the Warden Bazooka, the Warden Venom, as people are calling it. So the 6th place does seem justified. On the 5th place, the middle of the worst of the weapons, we have the pitch gun. The pitch gun is the colonial secondary weapon, so it goes on the slot where the pistol goes, right? And this one is a bit puzzling for me because pitch gun is a good weapon for the builders, for the medics, tank commanders. I've been in situations where I was running up to a tank trying to put a sticky on it, and the commander just used the pitch gun to mow me down before I had a chance. I'm like always using it when I'm playing the medic or the builder if I need some protection. And as a medic, primary weapons just use up too much weight and inventory space. So the pitch gun is good in my opinion, but this is not my list. I do not have to agree with it, but the community doesn't like the pitch gun. As I remember, it was implemented as a protection for the support roles. But for some reason, it's on the 5th place, and it is what it is. On the 4th place, the colonial Auger, the sniper rifle. The Auger is, since it was implemented, the worst of the two snipers. Wardens and colonials alike agree that it's the worst of the two. We have just the two snipers, and this is hands down the worst of the two. Every sniper on the colonial side just wants the Warden sniper, and not this one. It's annoying to use a sniper that has an exceedingly low chance of downing a target in one shot. Also, the second longest range of all firearms, meaning the Warden is just better in every regard. I expected to see this weapon on this list. On number 3, we have the Hawthorne Warden rifle. It's like the Foxhole's version of a Winchester. It sounds good. I mean, sound effect is good, but I would say, yeah, comparing to the pitch gun, it's worse. I've tried to use it. It's worse. And even like if I have to use it as a medic or as a builder, I think I might prefer the pistol. But yeah, it's a bad weapon. It's a secondary weapon, meaning it fills the role of the support protection weapon. But Like if you use it, its range is also short, and if you use it during nighttime, because the fire rate is bad, chances are if you miss the first shot, you're probably going to die. So, but not sure if it's number 3 bad, but then again, like I said, this is not my list, it's the community's list, and the community thinks the Huck Torn is fine number 3. Almost at the bottom. On number 2, we have the Cascadier 873. It's the Warden pistol, the burst fire pistol. Since it was implemented, nobody's been using it, like even as a protection weapon for the medics and builders. I never seen it. When I stumble upon it on the battlefield during looting, I'm like, wow, okay, weird. This is basically a relic thing. Nobody's using it. And I don't pick it up. I don't know a situation where somebody would use it. Like, it's better to use the melee weapon than the Cascadier, in my opinion. But there must be something really bad with this weapon to be on the number 2 of the worst weapons. And something should be done about it. But it's not top priority. We have a lot of different weapons, but this one is really disliked. Number 1. The most hated, the least respected, the worst of the worst, by a huge margin. I mean, the Cascadier's rating was really low, but this weapon takes the cake. It's so low that I'd call it alarming and in need of urgent adjustment. The weapon you think should be the king of trench warfare, but it's everything but. The one and only Dragonfly, the colonial shotgun, made for close quarters combat, which made sense since the bunkers now leave a husk, but it's not. It's not a good weapon. Nobody's using it. I mean, people have used it and they have rated it the worst, like by a huge margin. And it was implemented just recently. So for a new weapon to have such a low rating, it's really alarming. It means the developers really missed the mark on this one. It just doesn't do its job. There are much better weapons for trench clearing than Dragonfly, like Dusk, for example, or even the Fiddler. Maybe the problem from my perspective is the rate of fire, the short range. I mean, it's fine if you're really in the trench or like behind a corner, but if it's not nighttime, if it's daytime, so that's basically 50% of your game time in Foxhole, you won't be able to use Dragonfly. It's really strange for a novelty, or a thing that's just recently implemented, to be this disliked. And with that, we now know what are the bottom of the bottom, the top of the worst, the cream of the sludge. It was an interesting project for sure. It did change my perspective on some weapons, and thanks to this project, I did go out of my way to try some weapons again. So the top 10 weapons and now the bottom 10 weapons, I can say that Foxhole does have a healthy number of weapons. It has come a long way from the game that once had the same weapons on both sides. I'm sure that there is no meta set in stone and people do switch weapons a lot, which is good, since there is something for everyone. You do not have to use the Dragonfly, you don't have to use the Cascadier, the Hawthorne, the Pitch Gun. There are alternatives. For example, the Dagger and the Raiding Club are here, but the Bayonet is not here. And I see the Bayonet still being used. So I would say, all in all, the weapons in Foxhole are in a good place. Also, if you want to see the full list, ratings for every weapon, which some of you asked for, I mean, there are around 50 weapons, but we just covered 20 with these clips. Take a look on my Discord. I'm gonna leave it there as a PDF file. Thanks for watching. Hope you find this informative. And as always, Veni, vidi, ludere, Dixie.